So I thought it was after acquired practice or before acquired practice.
No, this was after a mass.
Go on, and what happened after the mass?
Okay, so as I said, they were poking around, which is the term that was utilised.
Well, that's an unfortunate term, but where were they poking? What do you do when you're poking around?
I take it to be that they were looking as they were walking along.
Go on.
Now at this stage they've entered a room where it's assumed the Archbishop got changed, and in your quarters within the cathedral. The room was towards the back of the cathedral, around the area where the choir sat, looking towards the back, to the right of the altar, under the western window, behind an entry. Mm-hmm. Does that assist you in terms of that map there?
That's vaguely right.
Yeah. Okay. They've walked in, and there was a wood panelled door that's been described to a storage area within the room. Do your recollection, does the sacristy have any area such as that within it?
Well, for vestments and things.
I don't know what was ever held in there. Just
yeah, well, a lot of the vestments you get, the Archbishop's vestments.
Yes. Okay. Immediately on the left as you walk in to the room.
Now, we're in the Archbishop's sacristy or the priest's sacristy?
Presumed from these gentlemen it was the Archbishop sacristy.
Yeah.
I set up wires.
And what was supposed to be in these cupboards?
They found some wine in there.
That's right. Well, that's not in the Archbishop's sacristy.
Okay. Yes.
There is a formidable safe which is in the priest's sacristy, where the wine was locked. When the sacristy was opened, it was always supervised by the sacristan or his assistant.
Okay, so there was a position for someone to supervise. Was there the sacristan?
The sacristan was always there.
All right. I'll go on with what's been alleged. So they've found the wine and started to take a few swigs
this
back
is
and forwards.
After Mass?
Yes, correct. Yes, after Mass on a Sunday morning. That's when the information you have, as you were discussing a second ago, he states that that's when Archbishop Pell came into the room.
No, that's not quite I never got the information that it was after Mass.
No.
It was after choir practice. It came through to me, I think. That's my recollection.
I think it is after choir.
After choir.
After choir.
That's
So
at
it's
the table you provided.
sorry. Yeah, it's after singing choir during Mass. That's
Well,
after choir.
I
No,
mean-
after Mass.
I mean, let me start to roll that. Most things on this story is counterfactual. And with a bit of luck, I'll be able to demonstrate it point by point.
Certainly.
The first thing is that after every Mass,
Yes.
I would stay out at the front of the cathedral and talk to people.
Mm-hmm. The next part of the allegation is that you've planted yourself, and this is all what's been alleged. Okay, instead of saying alleged straight off, this is all the story. Planted yourself in a spot between these two boys and the doorway in the sacristy room.
After Sunday Mass.
Yes, yes, and in effect prevented them from leaving the room. Now, the boys knew they were in a fair bit of trouble, and that at that time you've moved your robes to one side and exposed your penis.
Oh, stop it.
You're still at this stage standing with your back to the door.
What a load of absolute and disgraceful rubbish. Completely false. Madness. All sorts of people used to come to the sacristy to speak to the priest.
Yes.
The sacristans were around, the altar servers were around.
Mm-hmm.
They should have been on their way to change their vestments.
Yes. It's been alleged that you've stepped forward, grabbed by the back of his head, and forced his head down onto your penis.
In the sacristy after Mass.
Yes. And
Completely false.
this has gone on for a short period of time before you've let go of grabbed his head and done the same instance, forced his head down onto your penis.
Completely false?
You don't have to comment at this stage, I can continue on.
Please do.
That's fine. The boys were terrified at this stage, and it's been described that holding his head at this time with two hands on the back of his head before stopping, at which time he stood back in the middle of the room beside him. It's been alleged that you've then said, take off your pants, and you've stepped up to him, knelt down, started to fondle his penis and masturbate yourself at the same time.
This is in the sacristy at the cathedral after Sunday Mass.
Yes.
Well, need I say any more? What a load of garbage and falsehood and deranged falsehood. My Master of Ceremonies will be able to say that he was always with me after the ceremonies.
Yes.
Until we went back to the car park or back to the presbytery. The sacristan was around, the altar servers were around. People were coming and going. They couldn't have dallied too long in the sacristy because everybody, the choir master would have been keen to get away, to get them dressed and get away.
Okay. Do you recall who the choir master was at that time frame?
Mallinson, John Mallinson. And he will tell you that I had nothing to do with the choir and he thought I wasn't interested.
Sounds like you had an argument or two there along those lines, or a discussion, I should say.
No, I didn't really, but that's what I was slightly surprised, but I was quite sympathetic to the choir.
There is a further instance that's been alleged, and this is only on behalf of...
Mm-hmm.
It's sometime after this, at least a month later, and again after church.
Now, you've got after choir.
Yes.
Does that mean after the Mass or after the choir practice? I took
No,
it after the choir practice.
This indication is after church is how it's described,
What?
which is after Mass, after singing in the choir during Mass. These allegations I can state to you were not...
Well, about after Mass.
After Mass, yes.
Well, that's so much.
We're not in relation to...
That's good for me because it makes it even more fantastic and
Yeah,
impossible.
neither of those were in relation to after choir practice.
Good.
Okay, he states at this stage that it's been alleged that he was walking along the corridor heading back to the choir changing rooms after Mass, and still in his robes, when he was suddenly pushed against the wall by someone. Saw that it was yourself, who pinned him to the wall with one hand and moved in close and used your other hand to grab his genitals over his clothes, squeezing hard. It was a brief attack that only lasted a couple of seconds.
Well, that's completely false, and as I'll be able to demonstrate, I was out the front of the cathedral then. I was always out at the front of the cathedral. I never came back with